Hello everyone, thanks for watching. After yesterday's video, I did what I said and I rang the paediatrician and said I left him a message actually saying the letter's not right, can you ring me back? I wrote an email to the school, quite a long one, just saying, look, I didn't say that you weren't delivering, I didn't say anything about any of this, and that the information in the letter was completely wrong. Can you clarify what you've heard, whether you know anything I don't, that sort of thing. And I got a call first thing this morning from the Senko saying she's actually already rang the doctor. She spoke to them yesterday. I need to check what number she's using because she seems to get straight through and have a chat whenever she wants, whereas I have to go through the peasant entrance that doesn't get acknowledged straight away. I'm still waiting for a call back. But what they found out looking through the notes was that the doctor is looking... the doctor is so far behind on paperwork. The team that administer everything they do is so far behind that the letter they wrote me dated the 6th of February is talking about notes from early November. So they're basically 4 or 3.5 months behind schedule on writing things. So they wrote that based on information that they had when we last spoke, and they hadn't had the forms yet, and we were saying they were going to get the forms. And that so when she said things like in the letter that you've said this, you've said that, she was basing that off of research I'd done on the internet, which clarifies things a little bit. But it's very frustrating to think we're that far behind that essentially the past 3 months we've gone nowhere from that. When we spoke on the phone, she was confirming that she'd got the details back, and the school have confirmed she's had things. They mentioned to me today that they've just today received, what did they call it? It was another autism test. It wasn't the Cambridge AQ test. It was, I'm sure it's from like the bar. You guys will know better than me. The bar test. And that they were going to fill that in and send it straight back, and she was going to photocopy it and email it as well. So again, I need to try and find that email address out. Lots of people said to me yesterday that I should look at private, and I'm confused now because I feel like when we looked at private before, we were told that if we went privately, we wouldn't get any help from the council or the school or whatever else because it's not NHS. But that doesn't make much sense, so I'm a bit confused as to what it is. I'd understand that getting a diagnosis doesn't get an EHCP because that's a 20-week process that is based on the educational needs, not just a diagnosis of a condition. So I'm a bit of a loss with what to do. I've emailed Liaise, the advice people in Lincolnshire, and said to them what would they do. Is it worth me looking at private again? Because we were quite, we did a bit of research into that, and then we were put off by the fact that it didn't seem to help. It was almost going to be that we'd get it, we'd be told yes or no, and then we'd have to still go through the battle of getting support for Ollie. So I'm at a bit of a loss with that at the moment, and someone's in the comments said I could absolutely do it, just get on it straight away and it'll be done. If it's going to take him 3 months to respond to the most recent phone call, then I'd rather just, because most places have said it takes 1 to 4 months to get a private diagnosis done. So by the time the doctor has written her notes from the last call we had a week and a half ago, and then written and responded to me with them, it will be May time, I think, so it's February now. It'll be May, June time by the time she actually responds, based on what she's currently doing, which means we could, if I walked somewhere tomorrow and paid them, they'd do it. So I am just at a bit of a crossroads with that. I don't really know what to do with it. Other than that, Ollie seems to be fine today. He's had another good day. He's had a decent week. His teacher's not been in, so I think they've had a male stand-in teacher for some of the week and a female standing teacher for some of the week, and he seems to have reacted to both of them okay. I wonder whether the work they're doing is more filler work and less demanding, and that could be the reason why it's actually going okay. I think that it's unlikely that a substitute teacher's pushing them as hard as a normal teacher would, the day-to-day teacher. So he seems to be having an okay mixed bag week, no red slips, no major concerns, touch wood. I've not had any phone calls other than the Senko ringing to respond to my email, but he seems happy. He's still really into talking about this girl in his class that he likes that made him a Valentine's Day card. I don't know if I mentioned he got upset because she wouldn't sit with him and wrote a "I hate you" card. And I can't remember if I said yesterday, but I felt really like, oh, that's awful. Silly little boy, he's obviously got upset. But all I kept thinking afterwards was the handwriting on it was amazing. I'm so impressed with his handwriting. It's a shame that it was so mean. I need to get him to write some capital letters down again, because it was really clear what it said. You know, he'd put so much spite into it. It's probably the clearest he's ever written, and it was he did say I hat that person. So, you know, it's interesting to see that his handwriting's come along leaps and bounds. This is part of the problem with getting the EHCP and things like that, is his handwriting is progressing, his reading is progressing, his maths is progressing. He seems to be well rounded in terms of meeting his targets, and the school's really good at all of that. I mentioned before that Emily's targets, she's on them or above them all at the moment, and they're really pleased with that. They seem to be that kind of school, and that, in fact, I worry a little bit if that's a double-edged sword. I don't want to sound silly, but I wonder whether if he was at another school that was a bit lazier about this sort of thing, whether he'd probably get by a bit better because they wouldn't push him as hard. And it's kind of like, well, what do I want? Would I rather he kept with the stress but was pushed harder and was cleverer for it, or would I rather he didn't have the stress? I don't really know. I'm kind of, again, I'm not really sure what I'd prefer, but I like this school. I know I've said it yesterday, it's not them that I find a problem. I feel like it's interesting seeing how good he's coming along from a learning point of view. I just wish we could sort out the rest of the stress. This is a positive video today anyway. I'm having quite a good one this week. My work are rewriting their website and re-releasing their site, and so they've got me on the writing part of it all, and it's been quite funny actually, because I've had one of these weeks, well, I had probably a month of this, where I joined a writing group on Twitter. So we're in a private chat where we all talk about books, and I thought I was going to be one of the least qualified people in there. I thought I was going to be one of the sort of almost like a poser in the group, wasn't really going to get any of it, and I was just going to be trying to fit in. First thing I asked was how many books everyone in there had released so far, how many they'd finished, how many they were working on, you know, how many words a day they write, that kind of thing. Turns out that I've released the most books out of all of them. I know I wrote them with somebody else, but there's me with 6 books to my name. They had none. There's me writing 500 to 1,000 words a day, and they're aiming for like a couple of hundred if they can do it. Not that I'm not looking down on them. I just felt a little bit confused and a little bit like, okay, they were all like, wow, you're quite into this, aren't you? They're all looking at me and going, tell us what we should do. Where should I be releasing books? How do I get published? And I'm like, depends what you're looking for. If you're looking to hone and get better, go for the self-published route, get better at it, learn it. You might make more money, you might make some money, whereas you could spend all that time equally throwing it at publishers and getting nowhere. And, you know, maybe it's better to release a few and get feedback from people and really go to town on releasing stuff before you then go to an official publisher and try and get your 10th book, you know, properly published or something, if that's something you want to do. And it's led to some really fascinating conversations where I'm giving my thoughts, opinions, and what I've learned, and people are genuinely like, yeah, great, that's helpful, thank you. And I'm thinking, I didn't go in there expecting to be this experienced sage or someone who's... I have done a lot of reading about this. It's something I'm really passionate about, I'm really interested in, but so are all these people. They're just at different points in the journey. So I'm not looking down on them. Some of them have got way more followers on Twitter than me and stuff like that, and I just assumed that meant that they were experienced at this, but a lot of those followers came from other things, so it's interesting, it's fun, it's nice looking at what they're doing. And I don't mean to make it sound like I'm Mr. You know, I'm not Stephen King sat in there telling them what to do. I'm just pointing them in directions. I was suggesting they invest in Scrivener because it's better than using Google Docs or Word. You know, it's telling them to literally just hammer out words every day no matter what, and then edit it later and stuff like that. It's all just advice that they hadn't thought of. So that made me feel good about the whole writing malarkey. I felt like less of an imposter. But then with work, they actually messaged me. It was funny actually, because at the time I was a little bit like, oh geez, I'm on holiday, leave me alone. Not in an angry way. I wasn't angry at them and I wasn't thinking it that seriously, but I was like, oh come on, I'm trying to have a beer here. And they were saying, we need you to write some stuff. We're trying to write it, we've got nowhere, we need you to do it. And I was thinking, God, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't really know what to write on a site. I don't know what you want. And then I came in Monday, they showed me what they'd done so far. They handed me the reins and said, just write. And my boss has been chuffed. Everything I've written, she's like, this is brilliant, this is brilliant, this is brilliant. I'm really proud of myself, and I'm really like delighted about their feedback, because it is like boosting. It does feel like a massive boost. I said to one of my colleagues, I worry that they say it's good, but they're just being polite. And he was like, I think I might have mentioned this before, but he's quickly responded going, no, you haven't heard how like brutal they were being to like someone who was doing some artwork or the marketing stuff that had been made by another company. They were like, they're brutal about the quality. They'll only say it's good if it's good. And I suddenly felt like king of the world. I was like, he's right. They are pretty brutal, and they're telling me my stuff's awesome. So I've had that. That's just been a massive ego boost. I feel like, right, that's it now. I need to really push on with my stuff. And then it's just funny. People like I know that Shaz on Twitter earlier, Shaz who watches these videos, she said to somebody, "Oh, speak to RB6K about writing if you if you want to chat to someone." A couple of other people have recommended people to me if they want to talk about writing or whatever. And I'm thinking, this is awesome. I feel like I'm in a community and people are pushing stuff my way and hinting at stuff and showing me stuff. And yeah, it feels like I'm being a legitimate writer and I'm doing legitimate writing stuff, and that's really exciting. I mean, I know it's been it's been that way for a while. I've been writing for a while, but I don't know. It's just nice feeling really vindicated about something. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't even know how many videos now because I stopped numbering them, but I still wouldn't necessarily consider myself a YouTuber. I'd consider myself a practice or somebody who's trying to figure it out, or somebody who just does it as a side thing, just out of interest or as a hobby. But I consider, say, Kev a massive YouTuber, but equally, I know that there's people out there with a different position, and they're not as as far along or whatever, who might think that I'm doing quite well. And it's weird having those moments of thinking, bleed neck, I do quite a lot of stuff. I'm doing stuff. It's all interesting. I feel really positive today. It's great, and I'm partially recording this for myself so that I can go back and watch it when I'm inevitably feeling low in a month's time because I've written out a couple of 1,000 words and they're rubbish or something like that, because it's all part and parcel of the process, and it's awesome fun. So, yeah, good news day today for me in that regard. Positive stuff with Ollie. I'm going to wrap up because my dog's making weird noises next to me, and I think Claire's just arrived home. But, yeah, if you're ever feeling doubtful about stuff, it's better than you think, and ask people's opinions, because I bet there's loads of people out there who think you're good at stuff, or better at stuff than you think you are, and that's what I'm finding today, and I'm really chuffed for that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the weekend probably, because it's Wednesday. God, it's gone quick. I'll try and do some video updates Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm doing a podcast with that's it. One last thing, someone recommended me to the Chewy Gem group for sensory support, and it's like they sell some chewing devices that people chew on when they need to, if they're feeling anxious. I joined the group, mentioned I was doing videos, and they recommended me. They talked about me on there and invited me on their podcast. So I'm doing a podcast. I think it's called the Sensory Podcast. I'll double check the name. I'll do a proper update about it once I know more. But I'm excited about that because somebody again has looked at what I'm talking about and have invited me on their thing. So it's been an awesome week all around. As I say, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the weekend. Cheers.